Hey, welcome to Caching in the Northwest. You know, this is the podcast from the birthplace of geocaching that's right here in the great Pacific Northwest. Now, it's Thursday at 9 p.m. Pacific, and they call me Chris of the Northwest, and one of these days I'm going to figure out why. And what we're going to do tonight is we're going to talk about geocaches and geocachers from here and all around the globe. So while your mind is being turned to mush by the presidential debate, we'll be caching in the Northwest.
That's right. And, you know, those sharp viewers that are in the live video feed there will probably notice that, well, it's time to bring in a monkey, but we ain't got no monkey tonight.
There's no monkey business here.
This is a monkey-free zone tonight. So tonight we're going to talk with Keith from FTF Magazine, but he's not here either. So, Keith, if you're out there, it's time to join the podcast, my friend. And if you see this next Tuesday, it's too late. Actually, if you see it in half an hour, it's too late. But, well, not half an hour. You could join. Anyway,
maybe. Yeah.
Something, the powers that be, the noodles of the universe.
Oh, the
soggy.
spaghetti monster theory?
I don't know what it is. All we know is that he was supposed to be here tonight, and you know, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Something must have come up more important. And so, you know, it's me and this guy over here and all you fine folks in the chat.
Hey, wait, that's me.
Let's talk about geocaching and geocachers from here and where?
All around the globe.
Oh, I knew it. I just couldn't think of that.
Yeah, I know.
So
I say it a lot.
Whether it's Land Monkey Guest, Chat Lucky, full show, or whether it's just the twos of us with you fine folks, no matter how big the show is, we always want to give you a quick reminder. It's time to appreciate the support of our patrons because they help keep this podcast coming each and every week. And of course, special thanks to Landsharks. They are one of our corporate Denali level sponsors. You can check out all they have to offer at landsharkswithaz.ca. And if you're over in Esquimalt, BC, go check them out in person. They got a great store and a fun geocache right out in front. I think, has it not been Geocache of the Week before featured?
Oh, it has been.
I thought so. Yeah.
It's world renowned.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
And without further ado, the other corporate Denali level sponsor, well, that would be Gold Country Geotourism. You can visit exploregoldcountry.com. Whether you can visit Gold Country in person yourself or not, you can still visit exploregoldcountry.com and learn more about the geotours, the whole region up there. And hey, they have, I'm told, a pretty awesome app. So go download the app, learn all about it. Hit them up at exploregoldcountry.com or facebook.com/exploregoldcountry. And
go ahead. I was going to do a little shameless self-promotion that I have downloaded the app, and it's actually quite good.
There you go. And if anybody else would like to know more about supporting our humble little podcast on Thursday nights, drag your little mouse clicker web browser fingers over to cachingandw.com. Click the Patreon link. I don't know, is it there, or it's on the website.
I want to say
you can't miss it.
Mid-left.
Okay.
But yeah, you know, it's funny because it's one of those things that you think I know exactly where it is, but I don't always know where it is. And when it comes to, you know, we mention it every week, I thought, I should go check. And by the time I'm done with the show, that thought has left my mind. So
Keith's 94 has been to the Land Shark Story. Says Victoria is prime geocaching country. And
is it not?
That it is. Wow. Even the security guards at the Parliament building will kind of point you in the right direction and give you
actually, they will walk you to the cache.
And let's see, IHAM says that the hosting may be monkey free, but there's at least monkey cakes in the audience. So thank you, Monkey Cakes and IHAM, for joining us tonight. You know who else is joining us tonight in the chat? GSM times 2, who says the Historic Route 66 Adventure Lab series has a new webpage. I know you did the hashtag FTAS, and I don't think Chris has even mentioned that yet this this episode, but
how do you know how to use it? I haven't
I'm
spoken.
just going to bring it up now. So don't, run away from the chat yet, folks. But after the show, you can go to route66al.net.
That's Route 66 all.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like Blue Owl.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's different.
It's supposed to be eel. You might even be able to find a kitty quest in Victoria.
Rumor has it.
You've got to be quiet and whisper.
I think I have met a kitty quest in person at the Land Shark store. So, all right.
Wet Coaster and Greenwords have been to the 3 Land Shark stores in Esquimalt.
Have I been to? I know I've been to 2.
I've been to 2. I don't think I have been to 3.
They're all awesome. There's only one currently. Don't mistake that for thinking that they have 3 locations.
Mm-hmm.
They have throughout their history moved a couple of times. So if you're thinking, oh, I got to get to all their locations, one is all of their locations because there's so much awesomeness there. You just,
Well, they've got a great location right now. I would be surprised if they moved again, but if they did, it would be good because that means business has grown and they need more space.
That's right. All right. Well, you want to hit up any hashtags there or?
Well, let's go back and just mention how cool Kitty Quest really is because they met up with the Camp Clan when they were in Victoria.
Nice.
I'm sorry. She met up with the Camp Clan when they were in Victoria.
Very cool.
There you go. I just, since you might be able to go to Victoria and meet a Kitty Quest.
You could.
Just had to throw out how awesome they are. Now, I don't know what hashtag to throw out tonight. So let's throw out hashtag. You have to spell out one of them, and I'm not telling you which one.
It's like the Department of Redundancy department.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I like I say, we were going to have a guest on tonight. You can probably tell who it is by the name of this episode, but it will change by the time it's posted. And of course, you can use the hashtag FTAS to bring up anything in the after show, which is pretty much all of the show right now.
It's kind of an all after show.
Yeah, it's kind of that. We've got a couple of topics that, have come in at just the right time that we're going to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But let's start with some news, shall we?
I think we shall. Let's see. This first news story is from the registerguard.com. I'm not sure where Register Guard is.
My guess is in Eugene.
That would be a good guess because it says legendary local runner Steve Prefontaine was expected to take home gold in the 1976 Olympic Games. But in 1975, he was tragically killed in an automobile crash in Eugene, Oregon. He was 24 years old. There is a small memorial called Pre's Rock that sits at the site of that crash, and it's become a place of pilgrimage for runners. People leave behind memorabilia like worn-out running shoes, racing bibs, medals, jerseys, flowers, and more. And I have a hunch that there's probably a geocache at that location. In fact, I know there is.
Ding, ding, ding.
GC9 Alpha Alpha 89. There's an engraved stone plaque at that location. It features a black and white image of Pre, as he's known to the runners community, and it reads, "For your dedication and loyalty to your principles and beliefs, for your love, warmth, and friendship, for your family and friends, you are missed by so many, and you will never be forgotten." So he's buried at Sunset Memorial Park in his hometown of Coos Bay. And he's being remembered here before the Olympic track and field trials were set to start in Eugene, Oregon. And did you say before the show that that's coming up again? Or is that what I understood? Or am I mistaken that?
I can't remember if it was yesterday or today. Okay. The Olympic trials for track and field, which he would have, qualified for in his heyday there.
Yeah.
But they're set to start in Eugene, which is where he's being memorialized. My wife and I went there for the geocache, and I was shocked at how kind of emotional I got, hearing the story, reading. I never heard of Steve Prefontaine prior to this geocache. And so that was my introduction. And I was like, wow, that's really cool.
The 1976 Olympic Games, I had to check, Summer Games were in Montreal.
There you go. Olympic trials have been going on in Eugene since at least Sunday.
I would say they'd be going on since at least 1975.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Well, yeah. Well, and here's Kitty Quest, who we've talked about a lot during this show of a whole 11 minutes now. We've mentioned her name several times. She did that virtual. It was cool. She says, though what happened to him was not.
Yes. Thanks for clarifying that. Yeah.
So I just saw that pop up in the news because there is, they showed, I don't know, 6 or 8 pictures. And the last one was 2 geocachers that.
Oh, nice. I was going to say, I just pulled up the article. There's the.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
The plaque there and all for
Mm-hmm.
Lots of stuff.
It's a very small winding road.
Uh-huh.
So there's some race numbers. Yep.
Go pre GEAUX.
Ah, and I see what they did there.
There you go.
So yeah, if you're in the Eugene area, do this geocache. You can drive right up to it. Of course, it would be better if you ran up to it. There's the picture of the of Peggy Hansen and Warren
Berg, I would say.
Yeah. He visited Prees Rock on Thursday with their geocaching app.
Huh. Very cool.
So anyway, it popped up in my feed and I thought, this is cool. This is a great time to remember him, especially during the Olympic trials being held in that town. So now the next story we have, I had to include because, well, let me read it and then we will comment. Okay. The headline says person falls 40 feet into blackberry bushes in Silverdale. The person was taken to the hospital after falling 40 feet into blackberry bushes. On Wednesday, crews from Central Kitsap Fire and Rescue answered a call from a person who fell into blackberry bushes on Anderson Hill Road. The crews arrived and they located the person, but were unable to reach them without using a rig to get down to the person. So it's quite a steep fall.
I guess.
It does not mention geocaching.
Yeah, but bushwhack in, trail out, right? In this case, bushwhack in, fire truck lift out.
Yeah. So I read that and, okay, I admit I giggled, but at the same time, I really felt sorry for the person because, falling 40 feet is no fun.
Right.
Into blackberries, just compounds it. So
I was going to say, falling into blackberries, no bueno. Falling 40 feet, no bueno. Doing both, muy no bueno.
Man, you are so international. Thank you. And the first thing I thought is they had to be geocaching, right? They're looking at their phone, not paying attention to their next step. And
my question is, did they get the FTF?
That's right. I have often thought, Keith says, that's a spicy fall.
Oh, yeah.
No bueno squared?
I think so, yes. No bueno times no bueno. People that speak multiple languages are called polyglots. And people that speak one language are called Americans.
You're right. Exactly. I've often thought if I take a geocache, toss it into the middle of a big blackberry patch, somebody's going to go in there and find it.
Somebody will.
I know it would be cruel and unnecessary. Well,
not if you had a flamethrower or a machete.
Yeah, exactly. A machete and some craft dinner, and you're set to go.
With the right equipment, it wouldn't be so bad. I'm rarely equipped with that equipment, but yeah.
There you go. So anyway, those were our news stories this week of note.
Of note.
Now, as we mentioned, we intended for a guest, but
we did.
We still have a story In fact, this story popped up just minutes before we went on air. And I thought I would include it tonight, at least as a news story, but we've kind of promoted it to a bit more than that. So let's see if I can read you the email. It says, greetings. It's finally here after 2 years. We've discussed and found the best way forward and have started the process and know what it's going to take to replace and hopefully secure the plaque. You may be asking yourself, what plaque are they talking about?
What is the plaque they're talking about? Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Ryan goes on to say, could you share it out and to your little piece of the world? So we wanted to share with you tonight this just off the presses story about an update to replace the historic Mingo plaque. Now, Wits End, you've have some experience with the Mingos.
A little bit, yeah. This, by the way, is the historic plaque. Mm-hmm. This is the one from what my understanding is the one that is now missing. So I just found this from a Google search because, as one does. Yeah, I have in my previous job had to do some long distance road trips for work, and the first time I drove across the country in that little truck, I stopped at I think it was just gas up the truck, get some food, and it was in Kansas. And I looked into whatever geocaching app I used at the time and looked, there's a light pole skirt across the street at the hotel. I'm just going to grab that. There, grip. Got a cache in Kansas. New state, moving on. And I tweeted out that, hey, got a new cache. Added a new state. Didn't think anything of it. I want to say it was IHAM that said, that doesn't look like Mingo. And I replied something very intelligent like, what's a Mingo? Because I haven't really followed a lot of the numbers and histories and all that kind of stuff over the years. Fast forward a year, I read up about Mingo in that time and learned that, it's the oldest active geocache. I'm like, that probably, yeah, it was IHAM. Thanks, IHAM. It was one of those things I thought, okay, he's right. I should have done that. It is the oldest active geocache. That is kind of significant, even for me that kind of ho-hums all the, it's the first one that ever had a left-handed screw in a blue ammo can under a raspberry bush. It's like,
you did not go there.
So fast forward 1 year, I had to make another cross-country road trip. Took me across Kansas again. This time I went to Colby, Kansas. And it's hard to miss because, let me see if I can find the one picture I was going to share. Yeah, this one. There's an off-ramp that says Mingo. Okay, there's a town named Mingo, but because that's how the thing was called. But I just took that to mean that this geocache is so infamous, has its own exit.
Well, and of course it does. Why wouldn't it?
So exit 62 in the middle of Kansas, or Colby, Kansas. I think it's actually more west than middle, but it's in Kansas. You can pull off of there and you can find yourselves the oldest active geocache, GC30, in Colby, Kansas. And there's a brick there. And it's funny. I was talking with Chris before the podcast. I pulled up this picture of it. I know that this brick said something on it. There's a really ugly guy holding it there. And for the life of me, we cannot make out what that brick says on there. So if anybody knows, share it in the chat. But I think it says something about the oldest active cache. I don't remember seeing that plaque that we talked about. So I think maybe the plaque was erected after I found this.
Yes. Actually, if you go back and show the picture of the plaque, if you're able to do so, you can see it was put up in 2020.
Okay. And I went through there in 2019, I think it was.
You look at the last line, this plaque was placed by the Mingo Madness team and funded by the Geocache Talk Network.
Yeah.
On something.
I just messed it up for you. Sorry about that. May 1st, 2020.
May 1st.
Yeah, May 1st. It was May Day.
There you go.
So, and there's the GPS coordinates if you haven't already looked it up.
In case, there's no spoiler there. Okay.
Right. So anyway, we Subway Mark did a selfie with a plaque. So there's the brick that I found there, and behind me you can see a big rock, and there's a cache under there. The cache itself is not terribly impressive, I have to say.
Mm-hmm.
It's just historic there.
Yeah, exactly.
When I rotated the brick to another face, that was legible. It probably wasn't in the direct sun quite as long. There's a big trail leading right to that rock with that yellow brick on it. And, if you're ever out and you find Mingo or a milestone or, anything that you think might be interesting, you can call 253-693-TFTC. Share it with the podcast. You can do a field recording. You could do all kinds of stuff. You could even do a video. And let me know if this audio comes through here. But there's man, he's ugly. But hey there, caching in the Northwest, folks. Wits End here. Road trip. Not a geocache road trip, hashtag. But anyway, work road trip. Had to stop. Last year I drove right by this one, didn't get it. It's called Mingo. Oh, buffer. It's GC 30. Not a very difficult hide, but a very significant hide. If I have my numbers correct, it's the oldest active cache, in the world, I think. Anyway, cache safely and cache often, as Land Monkey would say. Get out and get caching in the Northwest, as Chris of the Northwest would say. And what would Wits End say? Heck, I don't know. Go find something. See ya. Oh, and by the way, tip for anybody else wanting to ever contribute that, turn off your stupid diesel truck before you record a video clip. So I just showed you all the ways to do it wrong, but it's still fun to see and look back and go, wow, I remember that.
I pulled up the Facebook page for Mingo Madness, and a new post was put up that says, after 2 years of being missing, all the logistics have been made and we're ready to bring it back. Get your name on the reverse side of the plaque.
That's exciting.
So, apparently the plaque has been missing for 2 years. Okay. That's why they want to replace it and bring it back. So not only is it a historic geocache, right? And many of these historic geocaches are not spectacular, right? They're not a gadget cache. It's the location. And in this case, I don't even know if it's the location, but it's out there, and because it's the oldest, it has been maintained for all these years. Hey, GSM times 2, I feel better. Thank you. He says, I didn't know about it either and drove by without stopping. So I'm not the only one. Okay, good. Good. There may only be 2 of us, but I'm not the only one. And, anytime I can share company with GSM times 2, I think that's pretty good company. Mm-hmm. And IHAM says, I think to both of you, it's a facepalm moment, my friend. Yeah, well, we all have them in our life. Mm-hmm. He also says that's quite a geo trail, and it is. Yeah, it was not difficult to find that cache. So even I managed to put a smiley on that one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's not one that's going to spend a lot of time, but you do have to spend some time there just because it is historic. Yeah, and as you can hear from the audio of my video clip, the truck was very close by, so you can drive almost right up to it. Well, it looks like the geo trail's big enough to actually drive a vehicle down. You probably could, yeah. The hillside behind me in that video clip, it's a freeway off-ramp interchange, because in Kansas everything's flat and there's just not a lot of hills around. So you don't have to get far off of the highway to find it. Mm-hmm. There you go. Well, so let me say there's an Indiegogo page to start the funding to replace the plaque. Okay. You know what I can do? I can share that Indiegogo page right here on the screen right here and right now. Look at that. So they say, let's see, can I zoom in a bit to make it somewhat readable? There it is. As the Committee for Mingo Madness sat down on ways to celebrate the 20th anniversary of GC30, it was decided to place a plaque in its honor. In May of 2020, during the lockdown, the team assembled in Colby, Kansas, with the help of Geocache Talk and members of the committee funds plaque was placed. Okay, I just need to read and turn my brain off. Unfortunately, May 27th, 2022, the plaque was all the talk again, as it was reported that sometime in the afternoon it was discovered missing. As we are so happy to bring it to this community, we had one regret. The memorial should be from the cachers to the game. So for 30 days, we're going to raise funds to bring it back.
Very cool. I'd like to point out, I have not been in Kansas since that trip, so I did not take the plaque.
The plaque wasn't even there when you were there. Right. So, you were there, you found the cache. There's absolutely no reason for you to go back to Kansas.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. An Indiegogo project to replace the historic Mingo plaque.
Very cool. Peach of Washington says,
thank you. I could come up with peaches, and I knew that wasn't right. Peach of Washington says, I did a selfie at the plaque when I visited Mingo for the 2021 celebration, and it's now my picture on my geocaching profile page.
Awesome.
Well, you have to go back when they replace the plaque. So should we look at the different options of the different perks here available?
Sure, real quick. Let's see what the perk.
Again, am I just zoomed out too much to see what's going on?
It could be. There we go.
Okay. So a memorial supporter on the back of the plaque will be a contributor's plaque. With your donation, you'll be able to put your name up to 20 characters. So that's a $20 supporter. $50 supporter says you get your name on it and a replica coin.
Oh, replica coin with your name on it? Like a replica of your name?
Huh. I don't know. Wouldn't that be something?
Probably not.
And the platinum supporter, you get a desktop replica, name on the monument, and a replica coin. So you get a replica of your exact desktop. Now, I don't know if that's computer or physical desktop.
Yes. All of the above.
Sorry, I'm ornery. So $20 for the first level, $50 for the second, $200 for the third.
Okay. So historic cache, historic location. It's kind of fun to stop there. And, hey, if you throw a little money at getting the plaque replaced, get your name on the back, then when you go stop by there and find it, you can say, hey, look, my name's right here.
I'm just thinking, is Chris of the Northwest 20 or more characters?
Can you claim it as a find? You can say, well, there's my name. It's there on the plaque.
I love it. So they are looking for a flexible goal of $3,500.
It seems reasonable.
White Coaster says, I don't want a replica of my desktop. It has too many icons on it to even see the wallpaper.
Right? I have worked on workstations like that.
I remember one where they were like 5 and 6 icons deep. They had overlapped each other, and I'd never seen that before. Okay, so that was our story we wanted to share with you. Indiegogo campaign for the Mingo plaque. Does that make it a Mingo Go-Go?
Indie Mingo?
Indie Mingo.
I don't know.
Okay. IHAM wants to know, is there any news regarding the Fuel the Spaceship souvenirs for the summer? And, I know that the I can't come up with the word, that the puzzle was solved.
Okay.
And we're ready for that. But hey, do you know what just happened?
I do.
Well, hello there. How are you?
Hey guys, how y'all doing?
Good.
Oh my God, I got caught up in some stuff with my grandson and the crazy debate on. And man, I just maybe it's just old age. I'm not sure, but I'm here.
Well, Keith, thank you for joining us. Number one, and number two, real life always takes priority.
No worries. We're just going to rewind and start the podcast all over from the beginning. No, it's all good. Thanks for joining us.
Well, glad to be here. I'm sorry I'm late.
No worries. Hey,
We'll just talk really fast.
so since you're here, tell us who you are. Maybe for those who aren't familiar with you, a little bit about yourself, a quick introduction, how long you've been geocaching, and have you found Mingo?
No. I've had the opportunity. I went through Kansas at one point, but I was so afraid of a storm front coming through and getting blown away that I didn't make it to that particular cache. But I started caching in about, I think, 2009, and basically just had an iPhone. It was pretty primitive back then. I didn't have much luck trying to find the first cache I found, or tried to find. But actually, the iPhone, when it did come out with the geocaching app, I was able to kind of kick into gear. And it was pretty much 2009. I think I found my first cache in 2008. Got interested in it and been doing it ever since.
Very cool. Well, your claim to fame and the reason you're here, right, is FTF Magazine. A lot of people, print magazines have gone the way of the dodo, but FTF Magazine is alive and well. So do you have like a short, maybe elevator pitch for any listeners who haven't seen the magazine or haven't heard about it, and tell them what it's all about?
Well, the best thing about the magazine is it's the content comes from the readers themselves. So if you want to be published in a magazine, and this is your opportunity to do so, because it's I don't know, that's probably the biggest thing. Just the fact that the readers are the ones that are contributing. To me, that's what makes it interesting. Mm-hmm. It's not me just coming up with stuff that I believe in. It's actually the things that are important to the people that are subscribing.
Keith, that's exactly what we do here on this podcast. We don't talk about things that are necessarily, important or interesting to us, but we like to get that input from our listeners, just like you like to get your input from the readers. And I think that makes the conversation happen across whatever media we're talking about, be it podcasting or magazine. So I met you at Geo Woodstock, the recent one in Flagstaff, which I have to say was fabulous, right? Weather was great. The event was held well, really well done. And I was, other than the wind, you had a nice table set up.
No, it wasn't just the wind. I actually had my tablecloth that I'd bought to put on the table was like a metallic material. And the people's faces, when I looked across the table, were lit up by the sun. It was like they were blinded by the glare. So I learned my lesson. I'm going to buy a non-reflective tablecloth next time.
There you go.
I don't remember that part of it. So I must have come to you in the afternoon after the sun had changed directions there.
You're fortunate.
What is your role at the magazine?
The guy that's on the street corner and he's got the drums and the trumpet and he's stomping, tambourines with his feet. That's me. I do, the production, I do the editing, I do pretty much everything. like I said before, the readers themselves send in the stories. So most of the work is done by them, but I do an awful lot of work after the fact, basically editing and, going through. And what an editor does is go through and, correct the grammar and things like that. Most of the people that are sending in stories aren't professional writers. So I do a lot of work just trying to clean up stories and trying to make them more interesting just by, cutting out some of the stuff that's basically whittling them down to the most important parts of the story, to make it as appealing to the other readers as possible.
Yeah, whether it's video production, audio production, podcast, print, there's always so much more work that goes on behind the scenes that people don't realize. Hours and hours to bring a quality product out. Do you have a long history with print publications?
I do, actually. I used to do, I worked for an ad agency when I was first out of school. We did Stardate Magazine, which is the magazine for the McDonald Observatory in Texas. So when we started that magazine, we were literally on the cutting edge of digital production. I remember us doing the first digital, like going straight from computer. We were using a PageMaker or something at the time. And we sent it to the press, and we had to deal with all these issues of, how the colors, how the different plates align properly and everything. It was all new at that time, doing it digitally. So we had a big learning curve there. But that was my first, kind of magazine publishing experience. Really cool publication. And beyond that, I didn't really jump back into. I was a graphic designer, but I didn't really jump into magazine publishing again until I started publishing this magazine in 2010.
Well, okay, that was my next question: is how long has this magazine been in print?
Since 2010, so wow. 14 years now. I would like to say that there are 14 years worth of 6 issues per year, but I get behind every once in a while, so I'm not. My issue count doesn't quite match up with my years in production count.
That's the same. That's true with podcasting. We just don't want to admit it.
Yeah, it's kind of a one-man band in terms of the production part of it. It's really hard to stay on track and keep that bi-monthly thing going. I mean, sometimes I just don't have enough stories. Sometimes I don't have enough time. I have another job. There's a lot that goes into it.
Sometimes you need more glows, all those kind of things. So you mentioned that the stories come from geocaches themselves. And I just heard you say sometimes you don't have enough. And we know that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Sometimes. If somebody's listening and says, hey, I can write a pretty decent story. I've got some geocaching, history and things that I think would be fun to share. How does somebody submit their story to you to get it in there? And do you have like just a, small group of people that you accept stories from, or can anybody submit a story?
Anyone can submit a story. If you go to ftfgeo.com, you can subscribe. You can submit a story. You can say, I found Spartacus in the magazine. All those links are there on the website. I am always looking for stories. I really wish people would send me more stories about geocaching how-tos. Things like, how do I camouflage this container, or special ideas for building a cache that maybe, gadget caches, things like that. I'd like to see more of that. I get a lot of stories about people, their personal experiences caching, and that's good. I mean, those are great. But I've always been looking for more stories about the nuts and bolts of caching, and those are harder to come by.
Yeah, there's a lot of aspiring authors out there that would love to see their byline there.
Send your stories in, because I publish. I always say I publish about 90% of the material that's sent to me.
That's great.
Sometimes it just doesn't fit in the magazine. Sometimes it's I don't know. Most of it gets printed. If I can print it, I will try to print it.
Should they include photos too, images?
Absolutely. And I should mention the word count that I'm always looking for, because it fits perfectly on a single page, is 750 words. And that gives me room for a couple of like sidebars or maybe a big photo or something. And that's just a good word count to shoot for.
Okay.
If you're wanting to send in a story.
All right. And
There you go.
And it should be PageMaker, right? No.
I'm not sure it still even exists. But any format I can take. Just copy the text into an email and I'll be able to deal with it.
Okay.
There you go. Yeah. That's so much easier than how it used to be done and having to set it up. And I remember using PageMaker.
Yeah.
It's burned into my brain, but
I think that was like one of the very first ones, because I was right there when the first Mac 2, I was working on a Mac SE, these tiny little, the little classic Mac, tiny little thing, the black and white screen, and when we first started all that, and it was PageMaker.
And now your phone is so much better.
Yeah.
Your watch is probably even better than that computer back in the day.
Absolutely.
Okay. So you mentioned Spartacus.
Mm-hmm.
What is the deal with Spartacus here?
Way back when I first started publishing the magazine, Spartacus had managed to get himself into several issues by submitting, photos or stories or something. And he said something at one point about, hey, I'm in every issue of the magazine. So I contacted him and I said, well, let's make this happen. Let's put you in every issue, but let's hide you somewhere and make it a game for the readers. And initially I wanted him to just like go to different events and send me pictures where he was in it. But that was too much work for him. And there were, obviously all the events would be in the same part of the country and people wouldn't know where to look. Yeah. So I decided that it'd be better just for me to take a photo of him or take one of his photos that he sent me and just Photoshop him into some random place in the magazine. And it worked out really well. And for the years, I thought that I had him in every issue of the magazine, but it turns out he wasn't in the very first issue. I swear to God, until like 6 months ago, I thought he'd been in every issue. And when I went back to look for something we were doing with a previous podcast I was a guest on, I found out he was not in the very first issue. So every other issue, though.
Okay. So Spartacus is a geocaching friend of yours, is not an animal mascot or something. I'm completely ignorant on who Spartacus is. So
the funny thing is, I've only met him in person like a couple of times. I went to Allegheny Geocache one year, and he was that's his home territory. And then I saw him at a Geo Woodstock later. I'm trying Asheville, North Carolina, South Carolina, somewhere. So I've only met him a couple of times, but we talk, we email back and forth, and like I said, he's become sort of a semi celebrity in the geocaching world because of the magazine.
Awesome.
There
you go. GSM times 2 had to throw out, I am Spartacus.
And I saw him at Geo Woodstock too. Although I don't know that we actually, I can't remember if we actually connected face to face, but I know we talked about being at the event.
Well, I know he's written a couple of articles for the magazine. GSM times 2. Okay. You mentioned, good word count. What type of article are you really looking for? You're looking for a how-to, right? How to do this, how to do that.
I would like to see more of those.
More of those. Okay.
Yes.
What's your the articles you get submitted the most? Is it, I found a geocache, here's my adventure?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Okay.
People will say, I complain a little bit. I hate to do it because I love that people send me their stories, but sometimes the story is just sort of like I did this, 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 I went to this, I got out of the car, I did this. I feel like if you're going to submit a story, there needs to be some like event that happened in the story. that's humorous or something. So I encourage people to, I mean, it's, if you had a big geocaching trip and you did a power trail or something like that, that's cool. But it's not necessarily, unless something happened on the power trail, like, your Jeep got stuck in the dune somewhere and you had to call 911 or something. Those kind of stories are what makes it interesting. And like I said, I don't necessarily turn down stories that don't like really engage me, but those stories are the stories that have some like twist or something out of the ordinary that happens, which happens a lot in geocaching.
It does.
One of the things that's great about geocaching, it takes you out of the ordinary world, puts you out there where crazy things can happen. And that those are the kind of stories that I really want to see.
So go back to your school days of your creative writing course and figure out what would get you a good grade with telling a fun story.
Yeah, tell a fun story. All right.
I am, said it succinctly, some folks are just better storytellers than others. Yeah.
Well, and in that respect, I get some, there was a story I just received recently that was kind of like I call it stream of thought. And so my challenge as an editor was to go in and say, okay, what parts of this story are engaging, and I rewrite it. Even though I've made a big deal about, like, I'm going to publish your stories in your words. I say that in some of my marketing material. I try to rewrite the story in a way that makes it better. That's what an editor's supposed to do. And I've never had anybody complain. So I think I've done.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
By the way, GSM Times 2 said that we did not connect face-to-face at this most recent Geo Woodstock.
I know he emailed me before the event asking if I was going to be there. And I what happens is I go and I sit at my little table. And if somebody doesn't come to my table, it's just a random chance that I might run into them.
Yeah. Well, Peach of Washington stopped by your table to say hello. And she didn't say much, but she says she's been a subscriber for a number of years.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
Well, Keith, at this last Geo Woodstock in Flagstaff, I didn't have a table. It's the first mega giga event that I've been to that I didn't have a table. Right? So I was actually able to walk around and talk to people and interact in ways that, when I know exactly what you mean when you say you're sitting at the table, you're waiting for somebody to come up and talk to you.
Yeah.
It's in a way, being a vendor at an event like that takes you out of the geocaching world in a way, because everybody else is talking about, oh, we went and did this lab cache and we did that. And the last thing, or the thing I'm doing the least at one of these events is geocaching.
Right.
Exactly.
I'm sitting at a table selling magazines, and then afterwards I go have a beer and I'll go find a cache here and there on the way. But I don't devote that much time to geocaching during these events.
Yes, I know exactly what you mean.
I have spent many hours sitting at a table. Okay, so you've got some great articles about, here's what I did on my last summer vacation finding geocaches. You've got some more articles about how to do stuff, which we need more of those. Are there other things that we can find in the magazine? Some games, some challenges? Find Spartacus, there's a challenge.
Yeah.
What other things have you got in there?
I think one of the things that's been real popular with the magazine lately is I've got two major kind of challenges in the magazine that are not related specifically to geocaching. I guess they are sort of, but finding Spartacus is one of them. People enjoy doing that. And I've started, I don't know how many years back, I started doing a puzzle. In fact, I've got a special article in the magazine that's about to be released about the puzzles in FTF Magazine. And I create all of them myself. I take it back. There was one that was submitted by a reader that had to do with college, I think, baseball teams. But all the others I've created myself, and it's kind of a challenge. I feel like I'm always trying to make the magazine better. And as I'm doing so, I'm also creating more work for myself, which slows down the production of the magazine and makes it harder to get out on time. But I really do enjoy trying to make the magazine better with every issue. And this puzzle thing has been pretty popular. It seems to be, people are liking it. So I keep doing it. And the current puzzle in the magazine has to do with cars. So every issue, it's like some random thing in my brain that I come up with, or that I'm able to create a puzzle out of. So
Fun.
That is a lot of fun. I like that. I'm going to have to go look for that. Now, you also produce some great looking trading cards. How would I go about getting a trading card, and what do I do with it once I have it? Well,
in the magazine, there's an ad that I usually take the people that have like submitted trading card orders. I'll ask their permission to use their trading card in the ad. So if you look at the ad in the magazine, you'll see that there's one of the latest trading cards I've created. So you can order them through the magazine. That's through the link or whatever. On the website, there's a link on my website, ftfgeo.com, to order the trading cards as well. And basically, they're just like any other SIG item. You just you get 500 of them with the basic order, and so that's a lot of SIG items to put in geocaches as you're out and about, especially since most geocaches it won't fit into.
That's true.
Yeah, those little nanos are really hard to
get
into.
Then now it's a puzzle, right? I have to go to 64 little nanos, tear up my card into little pieces, and we got to put it back together again.
Yep, that's true.
Okay, no, you don't do that. That's not the right way to do it.
I'm going to have to explore that.
Tearing up a card and putting it in a bunch of nanos?
Well, it wasn't exactly had in mind, but maybe. I've got a hole punch I can do that with. Just make a whole bunch of little dots.
Oh, there you go. Card. There you go. Are the cards trackable?
They are discoverable.
Okay.
They do have a unique tracking code to every person that buys one.
Okay. Perfect.
Nice.
Perfect.
Let's see. GSM times 2 said, I like the milestones and I encourage people to submit their pictures in a few sentences. So,
yeah, the few sentences part is important because sometimes I'll just get a photo or something and I'm like, you need to tell me a little bit about what happened here.
They look really happy. I'm not sure what this is all about.
The other thing about milestones is I get milestones sent from people on behalf of other people.
Okay.
And that's a little tricky because I need permission to print people's photos in the magazine.
Sure.
So sometimes I don't print those just because, it's I don't know that person is okayed it.
Right. I hadn't considered permission. That's.
Yeah, I started with all my forms that for people submitting stories. I actually have a little disclaimer at the bottom. At some point, somebody complained about something, and it wasn't a lawsuit kind of situation or anything like that. But so I started asking people to say, "Hey, this is my photo. I'm giving you permission to use it. These are my words. I'm giving you permission." So that just kind of keeps us all out of hot water.
So if I submit a photo with an article and there are people in the background, do I have to hunt every one of them down and get everybody?
No, that sort of thing isn't really a problem.
Okay.
It's mainly just ownership of the photo. If you took the photo, it's your photo. It's like it's sort of like that with news photos. If you took a photo in a public place, you can't get in trouble for that. Well, I say that I shouldn't say that.
Somebody somewhere,
on the photo.
Gotcha. All right.
Well, fantastic. I love the stories. I want to see the photos. I want to hear about the milestones. I need to find Spartacus. How do I get this magazine?
That's right.
ftfgeo.com. It's you can subscribe. There's a link there you can click on. It goes through PayPal, but if you don't like PayPal for whatever reason, there's a little link you can click on for paying with a credit card. It still goes through my PayPal account, but you can use your regular credit card.
Fantastic. How much does it cost, and how many episodes? How many magazines per year?
Yeah. There's 6 issues per year, theoretically, if I can keep on track. It doesn't matter because you're getting your 6 issues, whether they're delivered within a year's time or not. So it's really the issue count that matters. What was the other? What was the other part you asked me just now?
How much does it cost?
$24 a year. I did create a different pricing structure just recently. I created 3 levels. The basic level is the $24 a year. You get your 6 issues, and you get a free swag pack, which includes what I call my cryptozoology pad tags, which the current one is, I don't know how many of these I've created now, probably 20 or 30 of them. But the current one is the Dover Demon. Oh, and I'm about to the point where I'm going to have to create a new one because I'm almost out of those. But you get a swag pack with some, my little trading card and some stickers and things like that, and that path tag. And I've created other levels where there's a bonus level and a patron level. So at $49.99 or something like that, you get a back issue and a trackable back issue. I do this thing where I put gold seals on the magazine that are trackable. So you have your own personal trackable magazine you can share with people. And
is that each episode? I am so sorry. Is that each?
It's an episode. It's an issue. It's an edition.
Issue. I have an issue with episodes. Is that each issue that has the gold sticker on it that's uniquely trackable? When you, I'm trying to remember. I think if you subscribe at the bonus level, you get the current issue that's trackable with the gold seal. If you subscribe at the patron level, you get every issue with a gold seal, and it's also in its own envelope. Most of the magazine ships out via bulk mail. So people are always complaining, "Oh, the postal service tore up my magazine." Right. So if you do it at the patron level, you get a extra level of protection. I still can't guarantee the postal service isn't going to destroy it, but
it is still possible. Yeah.
It'll be a little safer.
Yeah.
That is their job, I believe.
I feel bad because I know there are people who are geocachers who work for the postal service.
Yeah,
I don't want to insult them. I'm just
not those particular postal workers.
Right.
It's the other ones.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There's always just a few that ruin it for everybody.
Yeah.
Wet Coaster says renewed my subscription.
Thank you.
So maybe he just did that tonight. By coming on here, you reminded him, it's time to renew.
Yeah.
So fantastic.
And I was going to say one last from Sometimes Two again. He wants to know if you're adjusting to being a landlubber.
Okay. Before I answer that question,
it sounds like a story.
I just saw Gary's subscription come through. So yes, he did just resubscribe. Thank you.
Fantastic.
And in answer to the other question, the background on that is that I used to live on a boat. I lived on a boat for 11 years in Port Aransas, Texas, called the Willie. And when my grandson was born, I ended up moving up to the central Texas, the Leander, Texas area north of Austin, where we bought a house now. And I'm sitting here now. Things look messy in the background. It's because I'm still unpacking boxes and trying to get things settled here. But we lived on a boat for 11 years. It was great. I mean, I'd go out in the evenings. I'd go out, sit on the deck and watch the sunrise, the sunset, and take beautiful photos over the water. I really miss that. We've got a nice backyard with a rock wall and everything, but it's not
the same, is it?
Right.
Yeah. Not open water, and it's not on the coast.
Are you able to fall asleep the same without the gentle rocking?
It's funny. We've been going back to clean things off the boat, and we'll spend the night there, and we sleep so well. On the boat. And I swear I didn't sleep that well before on the boat. But for some reason, right now, when we go back and we visit, it's like I sleep like a baby.
Maybe you need a waterbed. Do they still make waterbeds?
I think so. My brother has one, and he has to replace the liner every time he moves.
I've had one for years, but I haven't had one for a long time.
We have dogs. I don't think a waterbed.
That might not go so well. Hey, Kitty Quest does want to contribute that. Just a note, if you don't know, if you're not in the U.S., the magazine is digital, not a hard copy. Is that accurate?
That's a good point. I used to send the magazine overseas, but it was expensive. I mean, It was like $8 or $9 just for shipping to send it overseas. And that was fine. I just charged people more and people were subscribing to it. But eventually they changed the regulations about mailing. You had to fill out, I always had to fill out a special form, like a customs form. Mm-hmm. But then it became just levels of bureaucracy and it got more and more expensive. And I just I don't have enough subscribers overseas to justify the extra work in doing this. And it was just, it was more than I could handle as a one-man band. So I basically told people, it's funny though, people say that print publications are on the decline, that nobody wants to see anything print anymore. But when I offered all these international subscribers free subscriptions for like 2 years, if they would let me convert their subscription to PDF digital, none of them took me up on it.
Wow.
I had to force the issue. I had to say, look, I can't do this anymore. Mm-hmm. And I lost some subscribers as a result.
Sure.
But it amazes me how many people really want to have a magazine to hold in their hand. Yeah. And to me, that's part of what's nice about having a physical magazine. Anybody can get published on some website somewhere, anywhere. And somewhere, anywhere. But being published in a physical magazine that you can show to your family is so much better than just, my picture's on a website somewhere, So that's I found out how important that was when those international subscribers didn't want to switch over. But right now you can still get an international subscription. It's a little bit less expensive than the regular one. But I deliver PDF versions of the magazine. But you also get your swag pack. So I send them the crypto path tag and the swag pack. And some of them are surprised to get that.
Well, we have a lot of viewers in Canada, so that was an important.
I feel bad about Canada too, because they kind of got swept up in this whole thing. They weren't quite as big a problem as overseas, but it was still, they're just not enough to justify.
You obviously haven't met all our Canadian listeners if you say it's not that big of a problem.
Now, Wed Coaster is up there, and he says, I'm fine with the PDF version.
I'm glad. Thank you.
So that just made me think of one more question. I know we're running a little long here, but let's say I submit an article and you print it, and I look at this, Mom, I got a print magazine with my article in it. Can I buy more copies of just that issue so I can hit it to all my friends?
Yeah. On the website, there's an option basically, I've set it up to where you can buy a subscription and you can say, hey, I want a copy of the current issue also.
Okay.
Or you could just not buy a subscription and just buy the current issue. And of course, you can always email me and say, hey, I want 5 copies of this for my family, and I'll make that happen as well.
Nice.
So. Fantastic. Okay. I have one more question. How did you fit the printing press on your boat?
I used to have the magazine printed by an online digital printer kind of company, and they did something at some point that messed me up. They didn't deliver properly or something. So I ended up switching to a printer in Corpus Christi, which is just near 30 miles from Port Aransas. It was a printer I'd worked with in my professional life as a graphic designer, and the guy basically said, hey man, if you're having this stuff printed online, let me quote it. I'll match their price if I have to. And so this is the guy I trusted, so I had him print it, and he takes care of all the mailing and everything. So I used to mail it out myself. But when the very first issue of the magazine was only 300 copies because I didn't know if it was going to fly. So I printed 300 copies to this online printing company. I mailed it out myself, and I did that for probably a year or two before I finally started having them switched over to the company that could actually mail them out for me.
That seems like the way to go.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Good to have people you trust.
Yeah, exactly. And somebody that you can see face to face, right? And
Yes,
say, hey,
sir.
here's what I want to do. Can you do
like
this?
I said, somebody I could trust.
Yep, exactly. Keith, thank you for taking the time to come on tonight. This was great. I'm glad we've learned more about the magazine and all its issues. See, I got it right there. So once again, where can people go to find FTF Geocacher Magazine?
Can't go to the bookstore. There aren't enough geocachers in any single place to justify putting it in the libraries or anything. So ftfgeo.com.
And, I'm a geocacher. I can't find a bookstore anymore. Right? Maybe if somebody put a geocache there, I might be able to find one.
There you go.
And folks, thank you for tuning into this episode. We hoped you enjoyed listening to Caching in the Northwest.
That's right. I want to take a moment to thank Land Sharks and Gold Country Geotourism, our corporate Denali level sponsors. Landsharks.ca is the outdoor adventure and geocaching store. Check them out online, and they ship online orders daily. And for absolutely amazing geocaching adventures, check out exploregoldcountry.com. I'd like to thank all of our faithful Denali level supporters. That's Land Sharks, Gold Country Geotourism, Cool Cow Cachers, and Cachely, the geocaching app. If you would like to know more about supporting the show, click the Patreon link. It's over there on the CachingNW.com website.
Like Butterfly Girl did.
And Segehove.
And Limax.
Wino Seattle.
Railroad.
Hackerdoc.
Just Carlo.
Skyhawker.
Team Noltex.
LG 9000.
CRS 98.
Boomer 365.
Seaback Tribe.
BC Rock Crawler.
And Teus.
Genies.
Logwork.
Kitty Quest.
GeoNav Pro.
Nervous Energies.
GeoBirder.
Geocaches.
JCar.
Green Words.
Ari 54321.
UDAC.
GSM ×2.
Drexter.
Mountain Bike.
Doramore.
Kid Vegas 19.
B Pendragon.
Wet Coaster.
The Camp Clan.
Just finding our way.
Whidbey Island Gal.
Terrible Tees.
You Talks to Rocks.
MC3 Cats.
Flagman.
Subway Mark.
M-Nerve.
And of course, Gas Station Tuna. Folks, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this episode of Caching in the Northwest. Your support helps keep the quality shows coming. So if you like the show, please click the Patreon link on the CachingNW.com website. And if you didn't like the show, let us know what you want us to talk about. But if you like the vibe, please subscribe wherever you get your podcast and give us a review. Now, if you were in a restaurant, you would tip. If you were in a live audience, you would clap. But since you're on a podcast, leave us a free, fast, fabulous, fantastic 5-star review. And of course, you can always call into 253-693-TFTC and leave us a comment, ask us a question, or write a magazine story any time of the day or night. And of course, you can email us at feedback@CachingNW.com. Join us every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Pacific for a live show and chat. The show is produced by Chris Humphenauer, Jim Paulwitz, Jay Kennedy, and Brian Lang. And those last two weren't even here this episode. This show's licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license, copyright 2024 by Chris Humphenauer. And folks, I ask you to stay tuned for
The After Show. Breathe, man, breathe.
My lung capacity has really increased.
So, Keith, we often hang out here with our chat room. We're still on out there in the ethers, but let's see if anybody has anything for the after show notes. I think I saw.
Well, we'll start off with GSM ×2, who says, I've been to Books and Birds at Bart's bookstore.
Okay.
There's a geocache there in
geocache. Gotcha.
California?
Yes. Ojai? I think it's in Ojai. I think it's in downtown Ojai. After we've been driving around with GSM ×2 for a while, I have no idea where he takes me.
GC6 Zulu Delta 99.
Yeah. So
he also
fantastic bookstore. Now, we're from the Northwest, right?
We are.
And that's in California in Ojai, where it's really quite dry. And they have shelves on the outside of their building. Just with the eaves covering it. No other protection. I'm like, how can you do that?
Their annual rainfall is significantly less than yours.
That's the reason.
Yeah. The after show comments, Keith, before you popped in, we were talking a lot about Mingo, and there's a historic plaque there that was stolen, and there's a fundraiser been started to raise some money for that. And GSM Times 2 says the Mingo plaque Indiegogo has some funds in it. Thanks to Caching the Northwest viewers for getting that ball rolling.
That's good. We had, I don't know if you were aware, but I've got a story in the Current magazine about some local cachers here in Texas who lost their home to a tornado during Geo Woodstock. So
I think I saw something about that online. Yeah.
Yeah, that will be featured in the magazine. We raised quite a bit of money for them through their GoFundMe campaign.
That's great.
That is fantastic. We've got another FTF from Kitty Quest and a fabulous geo road trip with 3 friends from Winnipeg to Edmonton.
Fun. And you notice she spelled out hashtag at your request.
I saw that, yes. So she only had 3 friends from Winnipeg to Edmonton, and then none when she actually got there?
Maybe.
Okay.
You can interpret that however you like.
I don't know. Her name has come up so much this episode.
Well, you know who else has come up a lot is GSM Times 2. Another fantastic. He said, Casey and I met at the intersection of Lincoln Highway and Historic Route 66 and took a picture. I used my reward virtual 4.0 there.
Oh.
Way to go.
Lincoln Highway and Route 66. Okay. Well, folks, thank you so much for joining us. And until next week, get out and get caching in the Northwest.